The wind howled through the narrow alleyways as if whispering secrets no one wanted to hear. On the edge of a small town, where busy streets turned into forgotten lanes, sat a tiny house with peeling paint and a crooked mailbox. Inside that house lived Margaret, a woman the town had forgotten. No one waved when she walked past. Children crossed the street when they saw her coming. She had become invisible in a world that once knew her laughter, her generosity, and her strength. But time, cruel and relentless, had dulled her shine, and now, people only saw a frail, gray-haired woman who walked with a cane and spoke to no one. Margaret hadn't always been like this. Once, she was the heart of the community. She ran the Sunday school at the local church. Her home was a sanctuary for stray animals and troubled souls. People used to knock on her door when they needed advice, prayer, or just a hot cup of tea. But years passed, her loved ones either moved away or died, and the world moved on without her. Every morning, she would sit by her window and watch the world pass her by. She'd see teenagers laughing on their way to school, mothers rushing with their toddlers, neighbors trimming hedges or chatting by the sidewalk. But no one stopped for Margaret. Not anymore. One rainy afternoon, something changed. She noticed a young boy sitting under a tree across the street, soaking wet. His clothes were ragged, and he held a small backpack tightly to his chest. For a moment, she hesitated. The world had taught her that people no longer wanted her around. But something in the boy's eyes, a mixture of fear and longing, moved her. She grabbed her umbrella and stepped into the rain. With slow, measured steps, she approached him. "Are you all right, dear?" she asked, her voice cracking with age but full of warmth. The boy looked up. His name was Daniel. He was 10 years old and had run away from home after his parents had a terrible fight. He didn't want to go back. He didn't know where to go. Margaret didn't think twice. She brought him inside, dried him off, fed him soup, and gave him one of her late husband's old sweaters. That evening, Daniel listened as Margaret shared stories from her youth, tales of love, loss, faith, and resilience. Her house, once so quiet, was filled with laughter again. Daniel didn't judge her for her wrinkles or her worn-out furniture. He saw her for who she was, a kind soul who had been forgotten by the world. Days turned into weeks. Daniel's parents eventually found him and came to collect him. But something remarkable happened after that. Daniel couldn't stop talking about the angel lady who had taken him in. Word spread throughout the town. People started remembering Margaret. The local pastor, Father Thomas, showed up one morning to invite her back to church. Children who had once crossed the street to avoid her now waved and called her name. Neighbors brought her pies and flowers, and slowly, her home filled with the warmth it once held. Still, Margaret wasn't doing this for attention. She was just being herself, loving, compassionate, faithful. The community had changed, but Margaret had remained the same all along. They had simply forgotten to see her. Then came another challenge. Margaret was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. Doctors said she needed surgery, but her age made it risky. At first, she refused. "I've lived a long life," she said. "Maybe this is God's way of calling me home." But the town rallied around her. Letters poured in, flowers lined her hospital room, and prayers echoed through every Sunday service. The very people who once ignored her now refused to let her go without a fight. Moved by their love, Margaret agreed to the surgery. It was successful. Months later, Margaret stood at the front of the church during a special Sunday service. With tears in her eyes, she thanked everyone not for saving her life, but for reminding her that she still mattered. "I was never truly alone," she said. "I had forgotten my worth, not because I stopped loving, but because the world stopped looking. But love finds a way." The congregation gave her a standing ovation. From that day on, Margaret became a symbol in the town, not of pity, but of purpose. She started a community program for the elderly, teaching others to share their stories before they too were forgotten. She mentored young girls, helped at the food bank, and became a grandmother figure to many. The old woman once ignored by everyone became the heart of a town again. Her story taught them all a powerful truth.